12 countries where black people can buy a luxury villa for just $100,000. In the US, $100,000 only gets you a tiny slice of exhaustion. A rundown room, a hard life, maybe not even a decent parking spot in some cities. And it's full of suspicious looks that never really go away. But in other parts of the world, that same amount can get you a luxury villa by the sea, a private pool, and a community that greets you with a smile instead of a side eye. More and more Black Americans are leaving, quietly, without demands, just walking away from a dream that's faded and rebuilding it, where they are seen, where they can breathe, and where they can simply be. If you're Black and you've ever felt tired of constantly having to prove your worth in your own country, then this video is for you. And here are 12 countries opening that door for just $100,000. Ghana, when $100,000 buys you a whole new life. Can you believe this? Just $100,000 can get you a villa near the beach with a garden, a balcony facing the Atlantic breeze, and most importantly, no longer feeling like a foreigner? Sounds like a dream. But it's the reality in Ghana. In America, Black people often live in survival mode, fighting absurd housing prices, fighting prejudice, and fighting the constant feeling of exclusion. But in Ghana, you don't have to fight anymore. You're welcomed. Accra, Cape Coast, Kumasi, these aren't just beautiful cities rich with history. They're also places where you can easily buy property for under $100,000. Some returnees from the U.S. have bought spacious plots for only $30,000, built their homes for another $50,000, and now live like royalty. No mortgage, no discrimination, no need to prove their worth every day. But this isn't just about real estate. It's about dignity, about roots, about the Year of Return campaign, a call from the Ghanaian government to Black people around the world. Come home. This place is yours. And people have answered. In an interview with the BBC, Ayana, a teacher from Atlanta, said she burst into tears the first time she set foot in Ghana. Not because of the scenery, but because she no longer felt like a minority. Here, she was part of the majority. No more suspicious glances, no more explaining why she belonged. If you've spent your life somewhere you've had to strain to belong, does Ghana make you want to let go and start fresh? Tell us, would you take that step? Mexico, where $100,000 can buy you a whole new chapter. Here's a truth not many say out loud. Sometimes, to find freedom, you have to leave the very place that taught you to dream of it. Many Black Americans have already begun that journey, and Mexico is becoming a dream destination. Not just for margaritas, sunshine, or blue waters, but because here you can truly live, not just survive. Start with Mérida, the safest city in Mexico, where women walk alone at night without fear. A picturesque place of cobbled streets, Spanish-style villas, and homes selling from just $70,000 to $100,000, with gardens, furniture, and generous living space. No stress, no sky-high property taxes, no feeling like you have to shrink yourself every day. How much are you paying in rent each month? Compare that with home prices in Mérida, then ask yourself, what's really expensive in your life? Playa del Carmen and Puerto Vallarta offer a different choice, a beach paradise. Here, Black folks from the US, Canada, and even Africa are quietly building a new community, tight-knit, supportive, and true to themselves. A retired teacher named Marcus once said, "I sold my house in Georgia, bought a beachfront place in Playa, and still had money left to live comfortably for years. But what I value most is, I smile more. I don't tense up every time a cop walks by." Do you have a loved one looking for a fresh start? Share Marcus's story with them. Who knows, that might be the spark they need. Cost of living? Sometimes just a third of the US. A meal out costs $4. Utilities and internet cost the same as a weekly Starbucks bill. Open your banking app, check your last month's expenses, and imagine if that number was cut in half. What would you do with the rest? And here's the best part. Immigration procedures in Mexico are surprisingly simple. Just prove a stable income, around $2,000 a month is enough, and you can apply for a long-term visa, or even permanent residency after a few years. You earn more than $2,000 a month? Then the question isn't, are you eligible? It's, what are you waiting for? So there it is. When America becomes too expensive to call home, would you dare to steer your life toward a place where every morning you don't wake up feeling crushed by invisible limits? Will you keep running in circles here or stop in Mexico where $100,000 doesn't just buy you a house, but peace? Dominica, when $100,000 makes you a neighbor to the ocean. Have you ever imagined waking up, opening your window, and seeing golden sunlight and the sea calling to you without paying property taxes like in California? Sounds unreal? In Dominica, it's true. In the US, $100,000 can only get you a rundown apartment in a declining neighborhood. But in Punta Cana, Sosua, or Puerto Plata, that amount could land you right by the sea in a charming villa with a breezy balcony and a friendly community that doesn't judge you for your skin color. Property taxes? Almost zero. The government wants you here not to bleed you dry. And that's a big difference from the US system, where you own your home but still feel like you're renting it from the government. Black people from the US, especially retirees and remote workers, are coming here in growing numbers. In Sosua, you'll easily find American communities, not just vacationing, but living, bonding, and belonging. A veteran named Darnell once said during a community gathering, "Here, I don't have to perform. I live as my true self without looking over my shoulder every time I step outside." Cost of living? A fresh seafood dinner costs about $6.07. Utilities and Wi-Fi all under $100 a month. And above all, time. Time to slow down, to breathe, and to find yourself again. Colombia, where Black identity isn't erased but celebrated. Some places force you to shrink to be accepted. But there are places, like Colombia, where you can flourish. From the vibrant old streets of Cartagena to the eternal spring climate of Medellin and the pulsating Afro-Latin energy of Cali. Colombia doesn't try to dilute your identity. Instead, it honors it. In Cartagena's seaside neighborhoods, you can own a sunny, breezy apartment for just $70,000, $100,000. A balcony facing the Caribbean, furnished interiors, some even in guarded communities with pools. A bit further out in traditional districts, $50,000 is enough for a dream-worthy home. Medellin is a top spot for expats, especially digital nomads and retirees. A modern two-bedroom apartment here ranges from $40,000 to $80,000, depending on the area. And importantly, the city makes you feel safe, relaxed, and free of labels. Cali, the salsa capital of the world, is where Afro-Latin culture isn't just part of the identity. It's the soul. With $30,000, $60,000, you can own a small, character-rich home where you can throw live music parties on weekends and dance through the night without judgment. And here's the thing, you don't need Colombian citizenship to buy property. You can legally own your home. No need for a proxy owner, no barriers like in the US. A young man named Jahlil, who once lived in New Jersey, shared, "In the US, I always felt like I had to choose, be black or be professional. In Colombia, I get to be both, and I'm respected for both." Cost of living? $800, $1,200 a month for a comfortable lifestyle. Cheap dining, fresh produce, affordable health care. And more than anything, you live in an atmosphere that celebrates music, joy, and your very presence. Brazil, where Black culture is the center, and beach villas start at $85,000. Did you know? There are places in the world where $100,000 doesn't just buy a house, but an entirely new life. Now listen, we've grown too used to having to fight for respect, for dignity, for a sense of belonging. But in some coastal cities of Brazil, that's no longer a dream. It's the reality waiting for you to step into. Think of Salvador, where Afro-Brazilian music echoes through cobblestone streets, where samba drums mix with the sound of ocean waves. Or Fortaleza, a city of soft white beaches, where for just $85,000 or $100,000, you can own a beachfront villa with a shady, palm-filled yard and a terrace overlooking the sea. Here, your citizenship doesn't limit you. No laws prohibit foreigners from owning property, and the cost of living, from food to utilities to healthcare, is far lower than in any major U.S. city. In other words, your dollar goes 3 times further. And most importantly, Brazil has one of the richest and most vibrant black cultures in the world. In Salvador, nearly 80% of the population is of African descent, and they don't just exist, they lead, shape culture, and keep traditions alive, from music to religion, cuisine to fashion. I came to Salvador just for a month's vacation. Jamila, a 42-year-old African-American woman, shared, "But seeing how people live here, I couldn't go back. Here, I don't have to explain who I am." If you're looking for a place to escape the cycle of debt, discrimination, and invisible pressure, then maybe you've just found it. South Africa and the transformation that $100,000 can bring. Have you ever imagined living in a villa as beautiful as in the movies? Not in Beverly Hills, but somewhere you truly belong, without standing out. South Africa is becoming the destination of a quiet wave. Black Americans tired of proving themselves at home, and they're finding freedom on the mother continent itself. In Johannesburg, Cape Town, or Durban, for around $90,000, $100,000, you can own a beautiful home in a gated community with 24/7 security, electric fencing, and build quality that rivals anything in the U.S. You know what makes it possible? The South African rand is weak, and that turns your U.S. dollar into a kind of super currency. You can buy double or even triple what you could dream of in expensive U.S. cities. But it's not just about the money. Here, you're not a minority. South Africa is one of the few countries in the world where black people make up more than 80% of the population, and that completely changes how you feel about your presence. For the first time in my life, I lived without anyone looking at me suspiciously. Reggie, a former engineer from Atlanta, shared after 2 years in Cape Town. "I don't worry what people think about my skin color. Here, I'm just a regular person." Sure, South Africa has its own challenges, but with low costs, breathtaking scenery, and a society where you're not the other, many are calling it the place to begin again. Belize. English-speaking Caribbean life, and only $90,000 to start over. Looking for a place to start fresh, but don't want to learn a new language, don't want to feel lost, and definitely don't want to be far from the ocean? Then Belize is the escape no one's telling you about. Located in Central America, what makes Belize different is this. The official language is English. You don't need to learn Spanish, don't need Google Translate every time you go to the market. You just need to be yourself. For around $90,000 or $100,000, you can own a resort-style wooden home near the beach in Platencia or Caye Caulker, where the white sand streets have no cars, where sunsets fall on wooden rooftops in peaceful silence, and life flows as slowly as the waves. "I didn't want to wait until retirement to start living," said Tyrone, 38, who left Houston after chronic stress and now lives in Caye Caulker. "Here, I can breathe. Nobody looks at me like I have to prove I deserve to be here." The community is warm, mostly Afro-descendant, Creole, Garifuna. They understand your feeling and welcome you in. You don't have to worry about being seen as an outsider. You're part of a flow that's existed for centuries. Belize law follows the British-American system. So, if you're concerned about property rights, contracts, or investment, don't be. The law protects you, it's clear, and many Americans have bought homes here without any legal trouble. Bonus, low cost of living, simple lifestyle, blue ocean, golden sun, no smog. Thailand. Live luxuriously in a tropical paradise for $100,000. If you think beautiful modern homes are only for the elite in the US, Thailand will make you reconsider. In Chiang Mai, a peaceful northern mountain city, you can buy a new, fully furnished condo with a pool, gym, and balcony facing green hills for just $50,000, $70,000. These buildings aren't cheap despite the price. They're built to international standards, smartly designed, and professionally managed. If you want to be closer to the sea, look at Pattaya or Phuket, where you can live near white sand beaches in a one-bedroom or studio resort-style condo for around $80,000, $100,000. In these places, you're not just buying a place to stay, you're buying a life that feels like a vacation every day. One concern people often have is legality. And it's true, in Thailand, foreigners can't own land outright. But don't dismiss it yet. You can fully own condos in registered buildings with your name on the title deed, legally protected. This is the method many Americans, Australians, and Europeans use when living long-term in Thailand. You can buy, own it forever, and even rent it out legally if you don't live there full-time. The law is clear, the process is transparent. And most importantly, you don't have to worry about long-term leases or fake ownership schemes like in many other countries. With $100,000 in Thailand, you truly own what you buy. Living in Thailand isn't just about owning property. It's about truly living every day with simple but priceless joys. Imagine waking up, walking to a street stall, ordering a hot bowl of khao soi, or spicy Thai noodles for less than $2. Spending the afternoon at a local market, eating fresh fruit, buying handmade crafts, then napping with the breeze blowing through your balcony, all in a slow rhythm, no pressure. The weather here is tropical year-round, meaning no thick coats, no bitter winters, just sun, breeze, and sea. And the cost of living? If you're spending $3,000 a month to survive in the US, in Thailand, you only need $1,000, $1,200 to live free. Eat well, live comfortably, and enjoy life. This isn't just a place to live, it's a place to come alive again. Philippines, $100,000 for a fresh start. Tired of always feeling like you're falling behind, no matter how hard you work, pay taxes, and chase the dream of ownership that always stays out of reach? In the Philippines, that's no longer a dream. It's daily life for those who dared to step outside America's loop. For less than $100,000, you can buy a high-end condo right in the city center with a pool, front desk, security cameras, and a balcony overlooking the ocean. Manila, Cebu, or Davao, each has its own vibe, but they share one thing. Life here is so affordable, it'll shock you. Calvin, a former U.S. Marine from Baltimore, shared, "In the U.S., I never thought I'd own a home. In Cebu, I bought a two-bedroom condo by the sea. No mortgage, no interest, no one asking what I do for a living. I've never felt so respected until I moved here. Sure, foreigners can't buy land by law, but you can fully and legally own condos. And the cost of living? With $800, $1,000 a month, you live comfortably, eat well, explore island paradises, and carry a peace of mind most people never get to feel in their lifetime. Here, you don't have to prove your worth. You just have to be yourself. And that's enough." Turkey, where a black person can live large on just $100,000. Have you ever imagined yourself living in a villa overlooking the Mediterranean, olive trees swaying in the wind, waking to birds instead of traffic, sipping Turkish coffee on the balcony, yet spending under $100,000 for it all? It sounds insane until you set foot in Turkey, a fascinating country where Europe and Asia meet, where ancient mosques sit beside lively bars, where shopkeepers greet you with a smile and free tea simply because you're a guest. And it's also a place where your US dollar has power you've never seen back home. With the amount you'd struggle to pay for a parking space in New York, you could buy a modern apartment in Istanbul, Turkey's busiest city, or even a seaside villa in Antalya or Izmir, where the skies are absurdly blue and life is strangely light. Jasmine, 38, who once lived in Atlanta, shared, "I was denied a mortgage 3 times in the US. They didn't say it out loud, but I knew why. In Izmir, it took just weeks to close the deal and own a home. No one asked what my parents did. No one doubted me because of my skin color. They just saw a human being. No legal loopholes. No need for a cosigner. The Turkish government allows foreigners to legally and easily buy homes. Clear process, fully protected. And if you invest in real estate, you can even apply for long-term residency, unlocking a path to stay for good, in a place full of culture, nature, and room to just be you. And living costs? In Istanbul, you can eat well, dress well, live well, dive into art and history, and still spend less than a minimalist in Los Angeles. You don't have to choose between eating properly and paying the electric bill. Here you can do both without guilt. Turkey doesn't promise paradise, but it offers a fair shot and a life that's worthy. A place where you're not seen as foreign. A place where your past doesn't bind you, and your future doesn't demand your youth in exchange for a roof over your head. Nicaragua. Buy a home. Buy peace. Sometimes you don't need a shot at being richer. What you need is a reason to slow down, breathe deeper, and stop bracing against a noisy world. If you've ever felt drained by American life, with rising rent, city pace squeezing every minute from your day, then Nicaragua might be the place you've been seeking without even knowing it. With just $80,000 to $90,000, you can own a house near the ocean, with a garden, mango trees, and swaying palms in the late sun. Not a dream, but reality. In San Juan del Sur or Granada, where nature is still gentle and life flows on human time, not machine time. What's special about Nicaragua isn't just the incredibly low home prices or the cost of living that sits at just $500, $700 a month. It's the presence of a Caribbean Black community that's lived here for generations, where you don't have to explain why you're here and you're not eyed as an outsider. You're welcomed with smiles, with stories, with humble meals on the porch. Laws here allow you to own land. Buying is simple, and if you want to stay long-term, the government encourages it, not complicates it like so many other places. Nicaragua isn't for those chasing neon lights. It's for those who want to hear rain on a tin roof, buy produce by the roadside, and live a life that doesn't race, but is still full, still whole. Tunisia. Live authentically. Live peacefully. With $100,000. You've traveled with us through 11 countries, from the untouched beaches of Nicaragua to the Pacific View villages of the Philippines, from the calm rhythms of Izmir to the deep cultural ties of Ghana. Each place is a suggestion, an invitation, a chance to begin again. And now we arrive in Tunisia, the final stop of this journey. A small North African country tucked along the Mediterranean, where warm sun shines year-round, where blue seas slice through desert sands, and where $100,000 can buy more than a villa. It can buy peace, dignity, and the right to live without being judged by your skin. In coastal cities like Hammamet, Or, Seuss, for the amount you'd spend on 1 year of rent in New York, you can own a Mediterranean-style villa with white walls, arched doors, a garden, and a balcony facing the sea. These aren't luxury resorts. They're real communities where people live simply, eat humbly, move slowly, and connect meaningfully. What about the weather? Sunshine year-round. No brutal winters. No $300 heating bills every month. Cost of living? Extremely low. You can live well, eat clean, hire help, get medical care, learn a language, without breaking your budget. Legal matters? Foreigners can buy property. And if you stay longer, Tunisia offers long-term residency programs that are easier and less restrictive than many in Europe. But Tunisia isn't just attractive because of house prices or cost of living. Tunisia speaks to the exhaustion of Black people who've lived in societies that make them prove their worth every single day. Here, you can sit at a seaside cafe, watch fishermen mend their nets, hear the distant call to prayer from a mosque, and feel something many in the U.S. never do. The feeling of just being a human being, not stared at, not doubted, not pushed aside. Tunisia doesn't promise paradise, but it offers something more real. A life where you don't have to climb to be respected. You don't need titles. You don't need to prove anything. You just have to dare to choose a different path. To no longer wake up to weariness, doubt, and pressure every morning. Love countries where Black people can own a luxury villa for just $100,000. You've nearly crossed the map, and maybe what you're searching for isn't just a house, but a sense of belonging. If $100,000 can't buy peace in America, then why not let it buy you a new beginning in a place where you can be fully yourself? Let the dream of living authentically not be a privilege, but a basic right. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos that help you rebuild your life on your own terms. This video is for informational and inspirational purposes only. It does not constitute legal or financial advice.